Trump encourages protests against governors who have imposed virus restrictions. Maryland's governor orders expedited early releases for some inmates. And Teddy Riley and Babyface prepare for round 2. Today on the Diamond K Show. Welcome back to the program. Glad you could join us. Episode 419 of the Diamond K Show. Of course, I go by the name of Diamond K. Radio on Fire. We provide the latest in breaking news, entertainment, and political stories that matter to you from my point of view. Let's dive right in. So, Donald Trump has encouraged Americans to protest against strict public health measures aimed at limiting the spread of coronavirus. So imagine this, the US president is telling people protest the governors who are trying to save their lives. The rallies were held in Maryland, Texas, Ohio, and others are planned, Pennsylvania, etc. Hundreds of people stood shoulder to shoulder at the Texas Capitol over the weekend chanting "Fire Fauci" as part of the protest organized by InfoWars went on. Anthony Fauci, of course, is the top public health expert on the White House coronavirus task force. Now, let me say this. I don't agree with everything that Fauci says. I think that he is wishy-washy. I think that he goes this way, that way, doesn't take a stand. Some of the things that he says just out and out don't make sense to me. And he changes like the clothes. But that is the case in Texas. Here in Maryland, protesters stayed inside their vehicles and honked horns as they drove around the Capitol in Annapolis, demanding that Governor Larry Hogan reopen Maryland. So we've seen different things like this. There's a reopen North Carolina. There's people want to reopen. I understand they want to get back to work. In Columbus, Ohio, hundreds of protesters gathered chanting, "We are not sheep." You're not sheep, and that is true. But why are you letting Donald Trump herd you into these protests? As I said, these protests demanding that the governors reverse the shutdown orders. This is all boosted by right-wing media outlets and by the president, of course, who himself is a right-wing media outlet. He wants to liberate Michigan. In the wake of the protests that in Michigan drew thousands of people. You remember the Michigan governors who said, that woman, widespread shutdowns. These shutdowns is not something that the governors are just doing. They don't want to do it. It's something that they're doing to protect people. I don't know if the conservatives understand this, but people are dying by the thousands in America. Thousands. This is a public health emergency. This is not something that Obama is just throwing on people or Pelosi is just doing. This is serious. This is something that should transcend party lines. And Republicans often talk about they want it to not be a political thing, not be a partisan thing, but yet they make it partisan. Now, so I do want to say this, that those who have taken to the streets to protest, actually represent the minority, which is usually how it is with conservative views anyway. They are not in the majority. 2/3 of Americans fear the state governments will lift restrictions on the public too quickly. Here's the thing. You lift the restrictions. Americans are not comfortable. They don't feel safe, so they're just going to stay home. They're just going to stay home. So the majority of Americans are not going to come out, right? They're not going to come out. And Republicans are actually divided on this issue. 51% that they're concerned about the restrictions being lifted too quickly, according to Pew Research Center survey that was about 5,000 adults. So other polls, Texas, InfoWars is based in Texas, and they organized a rally that drew a few hundred people. But that is by no means a majority of Texas. Of course, Maryland organizers here reopened Maryland protests, asked supporters to stay in their cars and keep their messaging respectful. But we saw several local news outlets here in Maryland showing the Annapolis streets bumper to bumper. Okay, and that's I guess that's fine. But at the end of the day, we want people to be safe. So they, honked their horns and waved out the window and flew the American flag, and protest messages were written in their windows, and they had little signs and the such. So Larry Hogan, they're demanding for him to immediately reopen the state's businesses. Here's the thing: if he reopens the businesses and then our numbers continue to rise, then that's going to be on him, right? For listening to this foolishness. It is not time to reopen. It is time to test and gauge where we are with this virus. It's not time to open, not yet. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. You listen to The Diamond K Show, and we'll get into more after this. Welcome back to The Diamond K Show here on Radio on Fire. Governor Larry Hogan orders expedited early release for some inmates in Maryland, and he also is arguing for more testing. So this executive order to expedite the release of hundreds of inmates is scheduled, and any of those inmates that were set to be let out in the next 4 months, depending on their circumstances, they will be getting out early, depending on the circumstances now. So the governor signed the order over the weekend, and Sunday also orders the Department of Corrections to accelerate consideration of parole for inmates over the age of 60 with good behavior. And this, of course, is due to the coronavirus. The Baltimore Sun, which is a paper here in Maryland, reports that about 700 inmates are scheduled for release in the next 4 months, and they could see their return to society expedited. So the accelerated parole provision would cover roughly 100 inmates. And if you were wondering, there are more than 18,000 inmates incarcerated in the state's prisons. So this executive order is not going to apply to convicted sex offenders, which it should not, and contains a provision that requires victims of inmates' crimes to be notified about the early release. So that's going to cause some uproar, some families that were touched by some of their crimes. These people are going to be notified, and that's normal for that to happen. So of course, those that are against this are going to say that we've seen some people who were released and then went on to commit crimes. That is true, and those people should be dealt with. But we have a lot of older people who are have decent records, good behavior records. It's time for them to get out, especially if it's nonviolent crime. But there is definitely a concern, and a warranted concern, for this virus spreading in our prison systems, not only to inmates, but to the COs and other people that work in the prison. One inmate has died, and more than 100 have tested positive for coronavirus in Maryland prisons. So is this a violation of civil rights? Maybe. So various groups, along with the Baltimore City State's Attorney, Marilyn Mosby, has urged Hogan to release older inmates. This is not something that he was with. He was resistant to this, but he is definitely, warmed up to that. Also, this week, Sunday, he was on CNN's State of the Union, and he said that it is absolutely false for the Trump administration to say that there's enough COVID-19 tests across the country.
They are doing some things with respect to private labs, but to try to push this off to say that the governors have plenty of testing and they should just get to work on testing, somehow we aren't doing our job, is just absolutely false.
The governor also responded to the hundreds of protesters who demonstrated in Annapolis calling for Hogan to lift the state of emergency restrictions by May the 1st, which he is not going to do. The governor said that he understands that the protesters are frustrated, but he notes that Maryland does not comply with the Trump administration's own guidelines for easing the restrictions. So for those who don't know, the president, this is another strange thing about the president, he is calling for people to protest, yet he issued some guidelines. And based on those guidelines, Maryland is not ready to reopen for business. That the guidelines call for 14 days of testing to decrease, and our numbers are increasing. So the president is calling people to protest the states that are still closed, yet based on his own guidelines, they still should be closed for business, that is. So it's very, very interesting, very bizarre. As for Maryland, Maryland reported 486 deaths from coronavirus, and that's roughly an 8.4% increase since Saturday. Now, the department also reported 12,830 confirmed cases in Maryland, which is a 4.2% increase. Things have escalated significantly. I encourage people to protect yourselves, protect those around you. The show will continue after these messages.
Do you have a business, product, or event that you need to promote to men and women ages 23 to 44? If so, Radio on Fire can help you do it with one of our promo packages. Our broadcasts reach over 150,000 people per month. Sponsorship for one or all of our radio programs can include live mentions, social media posting, commercials, and more. Visit radioonfire.com/advertise to find out more about a promo package that fits your needs. Rates start as low as $50. If you want to reach men and women ages 23 to 44, log on now, radioonfire.com.
Make sure you follow me on social media at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire, for everything going on. I definitely communicate with people on social media. So today marked 5 years since the death of Freddie Gray in the city of Baltimore. So Freddie Gray was a 25-year-old who was arrested on April the 12th, 2015 by Baltimore City Police at the Gilmore Homes in West Baltimore. He then fell into a coma while being transported in a police van, and Gray died 7 days later, on April the 19th, 2015, from spinal cord injuries. So this is not difficult to figure out. He was arrested. Now, before he had contact with the police, spinal cord was fine. Contact with the police, spinal cord injuries. That is a demonstrated case of police brutality, clearly. But Gray's death incited the infamous 2015 Baltimore riots, demonstrators accusing the officers of police brutality. State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby brought criminal charges against a total of 6 officers. 3 were acquitted before Mosby dropped the remaining charges against the other officers. So that is in itself, memorable. Now, there is a demolition that took place of the projects, Gilmore Homes, where Gray was arrested and where he lived. There was a mural on one of the buildings painted not long after his death. That's going to be removed. So the buildings are going to be torn down, and nothing is going to be put in its place as of right now. Okay. Nothing other than gentrification. So the demolition really shows how little permanent change has happened in the last 5 years. But here's the thing. Change needs to happen both ways. Change needs to happen from the community. Change needs to happen from the police. No one has changed. Everything is the same. Now, transformation takes time. It does. And many of the communities where riots took place are left wondering why Freddie Gray's death has yet to leave a more lasting impact on the city. As I said, nothing has changed. As far as a wake-up call, I don't know how substantial the wake-up call was as time has passed. Maybe the city is asleep again. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. Take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Finally, the much anticipated super battle between producers Babyface and Teddy Riley was officially postponed. They tried to get it going. There were technical difficulties. Things started off very shaky. Teddy Riley had multiple sound issues and never really got things on track. The battle will now take place on 4/20 at 8 p.m. The first attempt was huge, but this rematch will be even bigger. The amount of buzz that's been generated around this epic showdown is going to definitely raise the anticipation for this battle, producers battle. They're going to play songs that they produced back to back and see who has a better catalog of songs. Two legendary producers, and I'm excited about this. They initially tried to make it happen over the weekend. Babyface took to Instagram to announce the postponement.
Hey guys, this is Babyface here. I just wanted to say that tonight was really special and so many people joined in on us that I think that it's only right that we postpone this thing and do it at a time when there aren't any technical difficulties and everybody can hear the music the way it needs to be heard. So I gracefully would like to say, why don't we just do this at another time and pick it up and have a good time later on. Thank you.
The legendary Babyface said, thank you, everyone, for being there for us. Fans were really excited about this. Even R&B legend Bobby Brown, who has worked with both producers, gave his thoughts on this epic battle.
It's about to really go down like this. I'll tell you what, Face, Teddy Riley is going to be an epic battle. I mean, I've worked with both producers, both writers, and I think I don't have a choice on who's going to win this one, but this battle is epic. This battle, I mean, it defines music of my generation, generations from the past and generations to come. So you guys fight fair. Fight fair. Gloves off. Let me hear what you got. Bring it.
So, as I said, there was a lot of technical difficulties. Teddy Riley wanted to do some things that it did not seem as though Instagram was allowing him to do. Roland Martin gave some great insight on our cultural icons, hip hop, people that have the ear of our culture and them pushing content to their own platforms. He brought up some great points.
It didn't have to be on Instagram. What Teddy and Babyface were doing with this Versus deal didn't have to be on Instagram. I just want to repeat what I just said. Didn't have to be on Instagram. Look at all of the promotion. Look at all of the video posts, the memes. Look at all of the things that were posted all over. So why did it have to be on Instagram? All of those people, the 400,000 people who logged on, they would have gone to YouTube. They would have gone to Teddy's website. They would have gone to Babyface's website. So all of that traffic, okay, let's just really, remember when Solange she dropped something on Black Planet? They would have gone to Black Planet. They would have gone, those 400,000 people would have gone to any platform that they sent us to. Yet what we did is we chose to go to a platform that limits the vision that you have. Now let me be real clear.
Shout out to Roland Martin. I thought that his insight was something that needs to be considered. Hopefully people will listen to what he's saying. He brought up some excellent points, and I really want to see our content creators getting the full benefit for what they do and not just pushing it to a media company like Facebook, like Instagram, that they're just going to take the viewers and, our guys don't get anything for it. But maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, let's get back to this battle. The rematch is going to take place, as I said, 4:20, 8 p.m. Two legendary producers, Teddy Riley, Babyface. Teddy Riley posted this picture and said, "Let's get back to the love of music this Monday at 8 p.m. Hashtag Monday Night Live. Hashtag setback for a comeback. Hashtag for the love of music." I'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Radio on Fire provides the best in breaking news and entertainment, political stories that matter to you from my point of view. To get all shows and archives and other exclusive content, become a member today, radioonfire.com/join. We are reporting for the nation. Fascinating times we live in. You can hear the program on Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, Libsyn, Facebook, Instagram. Just search The Diamond K Show wherever you get your podcasts, or visit youtube.com/DJ Diamond K.